Yeah.
Anthony Edwards took full responsibility after the Wolves' loss in Game 3. He said, it's on me, I got to be better, I came out flat. And last night, during Game 4's broadcast, Reggie Miller complimented Anthony Edwards, and he dissed somebody. I don't even know who. Take a listen.
This was wild.
We've got certain guys with veteran status in our game that are on a lot of people's Mount Rushmore that like to deflect and point fingers at others. Here's a 22-year-old saying, this is on me.
Okay, I don't even know. Mount Rushmore.
All right, Brew.
Kareem.
I sat here.
Jordan.
Yeah, I got to just say real quick, I was watching that game, and at first I didn't really know who he was talking about because I was like, passively listening. I'm watching the game, more focused on that. But when you actually think about what he said, right, it was clearly about LeBron. And it is pretty crazy to say that in the middle of a playoff game, like LeBron's at home, like that is a legitimate, throwing shade at LeBron right there in that moment. Like that was, I didn't think Reggie Miller had that in him. Like I don't really know where that came from. So that genuinely was like, I was like, wait a second, really? So I'm curious to see what these guys have to say.
And I dealt with the total fiction that Reggie and his partners were peddling about him owning MSG. And I was like, people don't even want to relitigate the 90s. But if I may for a moment, did you know Reggie Miller, the building he has his worst career record is MSG? Did you know that he was a career 13-39 on the road against the Knicks? Did you know that in the playoffs he won a total of 6 games against the Knicks and MSG? I let the whole thing just let it lie. It was 30 years ago. Let him create all of his own narratives that he wants. That's fine. But now, when I think definitively he is calling out LeBron James.
Oh, that's who it is.
No. This is.
I was wondering until he said Mount Rushmore.
I thought it was Kareem.
What'd you say, Mount
He gave
Rushmore?
himself, with the veteran status, he gave himself an out. But when he says active players on a lot of people's Mount Rushmores, I guess I would ask I'll look into the camera and make the request to my dear friend Dan Patrick, who has Reggie on the show all the time. Oh, yeah. And Dan is as good of an interviewer as there is in media. Make Reggie tell you who he's talking about. There was 2 options, Steph or LeBron. Steph or LeBron. They're the only 2 active players that are on anyone's Mount Rushmore.
And
that's it. We by the way, we know it's LeBron he's talking about, but make him tell you.
I mean,
Reggie,
he will probably. I bet you he throws Durant in the mix if he even throws.
Durant's on no one's Mount Rushmore.
I know, but
whoever it is,
maybe it's the Mount
name
Rushmore
a name.
bag.
I would
the bag.
I think this is wildly unfair to LeBron. Wildly unfair. I also think it is incredibly cowardly by Reggie. Coward.
Name the name.
Because, and if he's pressed on it, I almost guarantee you he'll say, I didn't say LeBron. I
agree.
So I find it outrageous. Outrageous.
Yeah, if you say something like that, I mean, this is a nationally televised playoff game. Yeah. Like, it's almost like I can't just say he wasn't thinking about it. I mean, he knew what he did. He said what he said. Look, I've talked to LeBron and heard LeBron tell me 2011's on him. You know what I mean? Like when they lost to Dallas. And any jokes they telling, no quarters, whatever that joke is about the fourth quarter, all that, I got to own it. All right? So he's owned stuff. But this is what I was talking about last week. I think it was last week when I said the body language of LeBron, the cryptic stuff, tweets. Now, we don't know what he means, but when you put stuff out there like that, and when your body language sometimes is bad like that, it does look like you're saying, like, it's not on me. It's them. And so this is what I meant. Like, I don't think LeBron's like that inside, but the body language and the cryptic tweets, I think almost, look, people I don't think would respect or like if a player actually came out and said, man, look, I did my thing. I had 30 and 10. Look at what I'm playing with. All right, Durant did that in his burner account, and obviously it wasn't a good look. But people don't want you to kind of like just come out and say, say what you
So we were trying to figure out what Reggie was referring to, and we kind of guessed that it might have been LeBron taking a shot at the replay center
After
the
game 2.
Game 2 loss. Do you have an issue? Do you think that's what Reggie?
No, I think that. Listen, I think
that's too
that
specific.
LeBron very clearly, particularly until trade deadlines, and then after the season, will press levers via passive aggression and social media to try to get the front office to do what he thinks needs to be done to improve teams. I have never seen him throw a teammate under the bus after a game, ever. The guy is the most covered, the most talked about, the most talked to athlete. I cannot remember a single game where he's like,
He hasn't verbally.
no. And when he gets questioned, when the guys miss shots, and he says, what does he say every time? Trust the process over the results, all of those things. Like, you know what I mean?
I'm going to always hit my teammates.
I'm going to hit my team. I'm always going to show faith in my teammates.
But
all that
would you
stuff.
admit sometimes the body language, the cryptic tweets can give people that impression?
Of course, but I don't think there is a player. And this is where I just think it's double standards. I love Anthony Edwards too. He also 2 games ago was doing the DX crotch chop in the middle of the court, and people found it adorable. I have a feeling. I remember LeBron once did the Sam Cassell celebration, and it was talked about he was befouling the game.
Well, that's different. Just if we're gonna get down to the.
Well, I don't know. I mean, so I just.
I mean, LeBron James is basketball royalty. Okay, so the expectations and the standard that they hold him to is completely higher than a 22-year-old up-and-coming star. So let's just be clear about that. But let's talk about the actual topic at hand. What Reggie Miller said. Okay. On one side, I'm looking at this from like a fan perspective. I'm going to look at this from 2 sides. One, the basketball reality, as well as the fan experience of sitting at home and watching this game. As I said to you before, I watch a lot of these games on YouTube TV, like on my computer, as I'm laying in bed. I like it, got my headphones in, it's what I do. And I take notes mentally so I can talk about these things. I enjoy it. So from a fan experience, hearing Reggie Miller kind of take a shot like that, it can be fun. Honestly, it can be fun because sometimes it's just drama. It adds a little something extra into the game. And let's make no mistake about it. Reggie Miller worships and praises LeBron James every time he plays. Every single time. He just goes on and on and on. Look at this 39-year-old. This is a guy in his 22nd year, whatever year, 21st or 22nd year season. Unbelievable. Look how he's still sacrificing his body and taking in charge. Look at him get down. I mean, he praises him to the point where it's annoying. It's obnoxious. If I know that Reggie Miller is going to be calling the game and LeBron's playing, I'm immediately like, oh, great. I have to listen to him just talking about LeBron James 24/7 now. And it's like annoying because I'm like, I talk about the other players. I want to hear about other stuff. Tell me other anecdotal stories about other stuff that's relevant. So stop telling me how old LeBron is. I know. So he says plenty of positive things about LeBron. Endlessly. Make no mistake about it. So if you want to be a shoot from the hip type of analyst, commentator, play-by-play, whatever it may be, then I think it's great to be able to say the good and the bad. If you're going to praise LeBron, well, then also point out a negative that at least you see to be accurate, which is Reggie Miller sees that LeBron deflects, so he called it out. And I think that's okay. I think that's more respectful. That's a more balanced thing. Don't just say nothing but the positives. It's fun to hear both sides, to hear some of that drama, to hear some of that back and forth. I would have loved, Jamal to step in and be like, I agree or I disagree. And then you can have like a quick 20, 30 second back and forth. It just adds to the experience. It's what I loved with Mark Jackson, Van Gundy. Like they would go back, they would say positive and negative. They would rip players apart when they felt it was necessary, or rip the refs apart when they felt necessary. And they would praise them when it was necessary. And it gave this balanced thing. I don't want to just watch this one note where the commentators and the analysts and all of them are just saying nothing but positives 24/7. That's boring, and it's also not accurate. And it makes a bad product from my viewpoint. So that's that. So just from an entertainment standpoint, I like it. I think it's interesting, and it's fun. But I do get why it's also not the best look, because it's like we're talking about the Timberwolves and the Nuggets, do you really need to take a shot at another player? Is that really necessary in the middle of the playoffs, of a heightened game? A lot of eyeballs are watching this game. It's a big back and forth. It's an exciting series. So it is just an interesting time to say that. It really, really is. Now from the basketball, that's the fan experience. Now from the basketball reality. Here's the reality. And it's so funny because I've said something, anytime I've ever said anything positive about LeBron, all the people come out and say that I just make excuses for LeBron and that I'm a stan and a stan, all this. And it's like, I have ripped LeBron for years. Years. I am so far from a LeBron fanboy. It's just not the reality one bit. I'm always rooting against LeBron, quite honestly. I'm a Warriors fan, so of course I'm rooting against LeBron. And I was rooting for the Spurs back in those years. That's neither here nor there. The reality is this. LeBron is an unbelievable elite all-time player. Okay? It is. And the majority of the time, 99.9999%, that he loses in a series, a game, doesn't win the championship, whatever it may be, it's not LeBron's fault. It's just not. Because it is. What else can... One man can only do so much. Let's say, in a perfect world, let's just try to use like super simple numbers. He puts up 40 points and has 10 assists. And all 10 of those assists led to threes. Okay? That means 70 points were kind of created from LeBron. You still need another 40 points or so. 30, 40, whatever it may be. Like, one person on the basketball court can only do so much. If LeBron came up short in a lot of these moments, only putting up like 20 points, even 25 points, 3 assists, I get it. Then you could blame more LeBron. But LeBron, a lot of these times, he's putting in 30, 10 and 12, like whatever it may be. He is putting in the work. People like to call it his defense. They like to say that he gets his stats no matter what, which I do get. There are plenty of times when, like, he does get his numbers and you can tell that it doesn't really impact the game in the same way, right? Like, he'll still put up 35 points, but in the stretch of the game when he really needed to get a bucket to stop the bleeding in the middle of the game, he like didn't take a shot for like 5 minutes. And you're just like, you needed to step up in that moment. Those other points, you needed to get those points in that moment to keep the momentum, to keep everybody focused and within range. And so I do get that argument. But the reality is those losses at the heart of it are really not LeBron's fault. When he went up against the Warriors, is it really LeBron's fault that he didn't beat them those other years? Like, really? Is that really what we're saying? LeBron just needed to score 75 points instead of 50? It's just not the way it goes. It's just not. So I just think that this idea that LeBron deflects, I get it, but I think it's also probably difficult for LeBron to just constantly be like, that's on me, that's on me. And one of the reasons why he doesn't say that's on me, maybe as vocally as some people want him to, is because he is under such scrutiny and everything is used against him and for him, for that matter. So if he says this loss is on me, then they now use that as a way to argue against his legacy. And I'm sure he knows that and feels that, So I just think that that's part of the problem. Listen, I know in my own short little small window of doing this channel, and if I say, let's make something up here. If I say the Lakers are going to win the finals, and everyone's like, no, you're wrong, you're a clown, you're a moron, you're wrong. If I end up being right, not a lot of people say, wow, you were right. Dude, you were right. You called that. That's awesome. But if I'm wrong, they all come at me. I told you were wrong, wrong, wrong. This aged well, this aged well. Ha 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 ha, what a clown, 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 clown. Everyone loves clown these days. Clown, 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 clown. And now if I now make another video and say, oh, I was wrong. I really thought the Lakers were going to win. That was crazy. I can't believe they lost. Then they continue to come. That's because you don't know anything about basketball. You're a clown. You're a moron. Clown, 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 clown. Delete your channel. And it's like never ending. And that is on a small, hopefully up and coming YouTube channel. We're talking about LeBron James on the world level, right? Of just millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of people. So everything's just so much more greater. It was more heightened. So I think it's a lot harder for him to do that. It's easier for Ant to say that's on me. He's up and coming. He's not under that same level of scrutiny. Not to mention, he did come with not a lot of energy in that game. So he could take true culpability. He played his heart out this last game, game 4, and they lost. He can't take responsibility for why they lost. If they say, Ant, what happened? Why didn't you win? He can't say, that's all me. I got to be better. He was as good as it gets. He was unbelievable. Unbelievable. So it's just tough. We put these athletes in the corner a lot of times of, we want you to be truthful. We want you to speak the truth. But also, we want you to also take responsibility even when it's not necessarily yours. So it ends up being a lose-lose situation. I do think good leaders take the responsibility. I really do. And I think the really great leaders are always praising other people. I think that's great, especially when you are clearly the best and the bona fide leader, making all the money, getting all the fame. When you are constantly praising the other people, that goes such a long way. We see great quarterbacks do that all the time, right? It's like if they're winning and everything's going great, they say, oh man, you know, our coaches got us right. Our defense really played great. Whatever, you know, so-and-so, the wide receiver, it's just so easy to throw to him. All I do is just got to throw it up and he makes a play. Like, that is what the true leaders do. They constantly just give that praise to other people because they're already getting that praise nonstop. Especially when I'm talking about like the true legit GOATs, the Tom Brady's, the Patrick Mahomes. And so that's where LeBron is right now, right? He is larger than life. So I just think that it's a tricky situation for these guys to be in. And I just try to think of like, what would I be saying? What would I be doing? And I'm definitely the type of person that always said like, got to be better, got to be better, got to do better, got to play harder, got to do this, got to do that. But I can admit that it would be harder for me if I was building this GOAT resume and everybody was ripping me nonstop or praising me nonstop. Yeah, I think over time it just gets harder to say, yeah, that's on me. When you know, man, it's not my fault D'Angelo Russell can't shoot. What do you want me to do? If D'Angelo Russell could just hit 30% of his shots, then we win a couple of those games. Like, what do you want me to do? If J.R. Smith understood how time worked in the world, we would have won that game. Like, what do you want me to do? So I just think that it just can get hard. But at the same time, you know, heavy is the head that wears the crown. Is that what it is? I forget the saying. So again, I don't feel bad for him. And I think it's okay for people to take shots at him because it's just all part of it. It's just all part of it. So, but I thought this was pretty fun and interesting. And, you know, who doesn't like a little drama? But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Reggie Miller taking that shot? And like, what do you think about Reggie Miller just doing it in general? And then what do you think about the actual accuracy of it? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.